In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front brake calipers on this Ford Expedition. Let's get into it. I'm going to remove the wheel, use a 21mm socket, take the lug nuts off. Remove the wheel. Before I take the caliper off, I'm just going to crack this bolt free, use a 14mm socket. Just loosen it up and then snug it back up. Then it's a little bit easier to take that off once the caliper's off the bracket. Take the caliper bolts off, use a 13mm socket. Then do the top one. Now we'll take the caliper off. If you need to, you can use a pry bar. Just pry the piston in just a little bit and then pop this out, just pry it off. Slide that off. Using a hanger, brake caliper hanger, I'm just gonna attach this to the upper control arm. Just hang that out of the way. Now we can take the brake pads off. If they're stuck on there, you want to use a pry bar or a screwdriver. Same with the outer ones. Pop those off. Take the caliper bracket bolts out, use a 21mm socket on these two bolts. Bolts out and slide the bracket off. Now we're going to separate the caliper from the bracket using a 14mm socket. I'm going to take these two bolts out. And slide the caliper out of the way. Take the bracket. It's already cleaned off because it's new. I'm just going to use some silicone grease just under here. And same on the other side. Just a thin coat. Take the brake caliper clips, slide those in place. Just push those down. Just like that. Anti-rattle clips. On. Just going to wipe those off. Now take the pins out. There should be grease in here, but it's always a good idea to double check. Just put some silicone paste. Push those in. And do the same on this one. That's good, make sure those are sealed. Now slide the brake caliper bracket over the rotor, take the bolts, get those started. Now I'm going to torque these bolts to 184 foot-pounds. Now we're going to put the brake pads on. The one that has the humps on it is going to be on the inside. And the one that's just got a curve is going to be on the outside. Slide the caliper over the brake pads. Get the bolts started. Torque these bolts to 27 foot-pounds. is. I'm going to take the banjo bolt out of the new caliper. There's a couple seals here. Leave one on the banjo bolt. And then we're going to go through the hose, and the other seal is going to go on the outside. And we're going to take it off the caliper. Just take the hanger off. And you might want a drain bucket underneath because you're going to lose some fluid. Slide that off. Take the bolt out. You want to make sure there's plenty of fluid in the reservoir also before you start this. Just going to take a wire brush, clean this up. Looks good. And we'll just wipe this off. Take one seal. You have the seal on the inside. I'll put the other seal on the outside. This is going to go on like this. Make sure the hose is not twisted. We'll torque this to 30 foot-pounds. We're going to take this cap off the bleeder. I'm just going to use a pick. With the drain bucket underneath, I'm going to take a 3/8 wrench, loosen up the bleeder screw. We're going to let it gravity bleed to start. Make sure there's plenty of fluid in the brake reservoir. After a while, you should see a stream of brake fluid coming out. At this time, we're just going to conventionally bleed them. I'm going to close this up, and then I'm going to have a helper pump the brake pedal. Now with the pedal being held, I'm just going to crack the bleeder screw open. We've got some air. Now I'll just close it. All right, pump it up and hold it. And pump it up and hold it. Close it up. Pump it up and hold it. That time there was no air. Now I'll just close this up. That's good. I'll just put the cap on. I'll just clean this up with some brake parts cleaner. Now I'll put the wheel on and the lug nuts. Snug the lug nuts down. Now we're going to torque the lug nuts to 150 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Just go around again, double check. Double check under the hood and make sure you adjust the brake fluid level. There's a min line down below and the max line above. Have it closer to the max line.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.